Team 5 of 52 teams of 8. Help make America wiser and kinder, with antique rival wisdom team quotes that have passed the test of time to make humanity great, with words of wisdom to encourage, educate and entertain generations for centuries. Give your kids free easy extra advantage math, spelling and reading workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com. Free easy math wisdom workbooks with Octo-Repetition to grow math self-confidence. Free easy alpha Cypher coded puzzles teach letters, numbers and phrases using antique wisdoms that encourage and educate. And since time is money, practice reading faster with 52 teams of antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate and entertain generations for centuries. Team quote 5.1. Never cut what you can untie. Joseph Joubert 1754 to 1824. This wise observation from Joubert is a beautiful metaphor for approaching problems with patience and wisdom rather than hasty force. It reminds me of the contrast between Alexander the Great's solution to the Gordian knot, cutting it with his sword, and this more thoughtful approach to complexity. The metaphor of untying versus cutting suggests several important principles. Cutting is irreversible, while untying preserves future possibilities. Untying requires understanding the nature of the knot. Patient solution finding often leads to better long-term outcomes. What appears to need cutting might actually be valuable when preserved. Quick, forceful solutions may create new problems. I find it particularly interesting that Joubert uses never, making this a strong principle rather than just a suggestion. He's asserting that there's always value in exploring whether a situation can be untangled carefully before resorting to destructive solutions. Have you found situations in your own experience where taking the time to untie, rather than cut, led to better outcomes? Team quote 5.2. I may walk slowly, but I never walk backward. Abraham Lincoln 1806 to 1865. This quote beautifully captures Lincoln's commitment to steady forward progress, even in the face of tremendous challenges during his presidency. It reflects both his personal determination and his broader philosophy about how progress happens, both individually and as a nation. The metaphor of walking is particularly effective because it acknowledges that progress can be slow, and that's okay, emphasizes the importance of direction over speed, suggests continuous movement rather than dramatic leaps, implies staying grounded and practical, recognizes forward motion, however slow, as valuable. The word never, walking backward, is especially powerful coming from Lincoln, who faced enormous pressure to compromise on fundamental principles during the Civil War. Despite setbacks and challenges, he maintained his commitment to the Union and to emancipation, moving slowly at times but always forward. I find it interesting that this isn't a boast about speed or dramatic achievement, but rather a quiet assertion of unwavering commitment to progress. It suggests that consistency of direction might be more important than pace. Has this philosophy of steady forward progress, regardless of speed, resonated with your own approach to challenges? Team quote 5.3. A heart to resolve, a head to contrive, and a hand to execute. Edward Gibbon 1737 to 1794. This quote from Gibbon, the great historian of the Roman Empire, elegantly breaks down the essential elements of effective action into three components, each associated with a different part of the body. The heart, resolve, representing willpower, determination, and emotional commitment. The head, contrive, representing planning, strategy, and intellectual analysis. The hand, execute, representing practical action, implementation, and physical effort. What makes this triad particularly powerful is how it recognizes that success typically requires all three elements working together. Resolve without planning or action remains mere wishful thinking. Planning without determination or execution stays theoretical. Action without heart or thought can be misdirected energy. I find it interesting that Gibbon places heart first in his sequence, suggesting that determination and emotional commitment might be the foundation upon which planning and action must build. Yet each element is given equal weight in the structure of the quote, implying all three are essential. Have you found in your own experience that the most successful endeavors tend to engage all three of these aspects: emotional commitment, careful planning, and practical execution? Team quote 5.4. Self-development is a higher duty than self-sacrifice. Elizabeth Stanton, 1815 to 1902. This is a profound and somewhat radical statement from Elizabeth Cady Stanton, particularly given the era in which she lived, when women were often expected to sacrifice their own development for others. As a leading figure in the women's rights movement, Stanton challenged the prevailing notion that a woman's highest calling was self-sacrifice for family and society. The use of higher duty is particularly striking. Stanton isn't dismissing self-sacrifice as worthless, but rather suggesting there's an even more fundamental obligation to develop one's own capabilities and potential. This implies that self-development enables us to contribute more effectively to others. We have a moral obligation to grow and improve ourselves. Constantly sacrificing for others while neglecting our own growth may actually limit our ability to help in the long run. Personal growth and societal progress are interconnected. This perspective must have been especially meaningful for women of her time, who were often denied opportunities for education, career development, and personal growth in the name of self-sacrifice for others. I find it interesting how this message continues to resonate today, particularly for those who struggle with balancing personal development against the demands and expectations of others. Have you found this tension between self-development and self-sacrifice in your own experience? Team quote 5.5. Good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best. Saint Jerome, 347 AD, 420 AD. This quote from Saint Jerome presents a powerful philosophy of continuous self-improvement through a memorable, almost rhythmic structure. It's fascinating that a message from the 4th century remains so relevant to modern discussions of personal development and excellence. Saint Jerome, known primarily for translating the Bible into Latin, the Vulgate, embodied this principle in his own scholarly work. He continually revised and improved his translations, demonstrating the very progression he describes, from good to better to best. The quote's three-part progression suggests that excellence isn't a destination but a journey. It discourages complacency at any level of achievement. The phrase, "never let it rest," is particularly striking. It implies that even when we reach what we consider best, there might still be room for improvement. This mindset has influenced fields far beyond Jerome's religious context, from education and sports to business and personal development. It speaks to the human capacity for continuous growth while acknowledging that improvement happens in stages, not all at once. Team quote 5.6. Honest hearts produce honest actions. Brigham Young, 1801 to 1877. This straightforward quote from Brigham Young points to the fundamental connection between inner character and outer behavior. It suggests that authentic actions flow naturally from genuine inner conviction, rather than from external rules or pressures. The word produce is key here. It implies a natural organic relationship between inner state and outer action, like a tree producing fruit according to its nature. Just as an apple tree naturally produces apples, Young suggests that an honest heart naturally generates honest actions. This perspective has several interesting implications. Character shapes behavior more powerfully than rules or surveillance. Authentic virtue comes from within rather than being imposed from without. To change behavior permanently, one must first address matters of the heart. Temporary changes in action, without corresponding inner change, may not last. True honesty is consistent across all situations because it comes from within. I find it particularly meaningful how this view shifts the focus of moral development from managing external behaviors to cultivating inner qualities. Have you observed this connection between inner character and outer actions in your own experience? Team quote 5.7. An ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803 to 1882. This pragmatic statement from Emerson perfectly reflects his philosophy of active engagement over passive contemplation. The contrast between ounce and ton creates a powerful metaphor about the relative value of doing versus merely thinking about doing. What makes this quote particularly striking is the sheer magnitude of the difference. A ton is 32,000 times heavier than an ounce, yet Emerson suggests that even this tiny amount of action outweighs such an enormous amount of theory. It's a vivid way of saying that the smallest deed can teach more than endless theorizing. Real experience provides insights that pure speculation cannot. Implementation reveals truths that planning alone might miss. Taking action, even imperfectly, moves us forward more than perfect planning. Direct experience is a more effective teacher than abstract thinking. Coming from Emerson, who was himself a great thinker and writer, this emphasis on action carries special weight. He's not dismissing theory entirely, but rather pointing out its limitations when divorced from practical application. Have you found this to be true in your own experience? That small actions often teach more than extensive theoretical preparation. Team quote 5.8. Little deeds are like little seeds, they grow to flowers or to weeds. Daniel D. Palmer 1845–1918. This lovely metaphor from Palmer captures a profound truth about how small actions can have far-reaching consequences. The comparison of deeds to seeds is particularly effective because it illustrates both the potential for positive and negative growth from seemingly minor actions. The parallel structure between flowers or weeds suggests that every small action has the potential to grow into something significant. We may not immediately see the full impact of our choices. Both positive and negative actions tend to multiply over time. Small beginnings can lead to unexpected results. The initial seed might look the same, but the eventual growth reveals its true nature. Like a garden, our lives are shaped by the accumulated effect of many small choices. I find it especially meaningful how this metaphor implies that we're constantly planting seeds through our daily actions, whether we're conscious of it or not. Just as a garden requires attention to what's being planted and what's being allowed to grow, our lives are shaped by which seeds we choose to plant and nurture. Have you noticed this principle at work in your own life? How small actions or decisions ended up having unexpectedly large consequences over time? And if you'd like to help raise school test scores and self-confidence, you can give your kids free Easy Extra Advantage math, spelling and reading workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com or buy at educationstopshate.com. Free Easy Math Wisdom workbooks with Octo-Repetition to grow math self-confidence. You'll get plenty of repetitive practice of age ranges and averages of our 52 teams of 8 quote authors. Free Easy Alpha Cypher coded puzzles teach letters, numbers, and phrases using antique wisdoms that encourage and educate. Can you decode this Cypher quote of encouragement using either our learning to spell or just for fun instructions? And since time is money, practice reading faster with 52 teams of antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate, and entertain generations for centuries. We offer printed versions and timed videos with background music. Sign up for free weekly emails of 52 teams of antique rival wisdom workbooks with easy math, spelling, and reading practice. And if you'd like to get paid for sharing our wearable wisdoms, keep this in mind. Everyone I know wears a shirt, and most of us change them daily, so change your shirt and change the world. Social equalities are blatantly subliminal antique positive wisdoms repetitively shared without saying a word. This applies to all our wearable shareable wisdoms, like pretty witty baby onesies and baby tees that you and others will see and read multiple times a day. The same is true with pretty witty kids, but they'll also share these wisdoms with anyone that can read at daycare or school. Youthful truths let your kids gain confidence sharing antique wisdoms with their friends. Imagine them sharing words of wisdom with classmates and teachers. I think, therefore I think tees I wear is a super easy way to share words of wisdom that have passed the test of time. Our social equalities help make us all wiser and kinder with blatantly subliminal messages, promoting a more fair and equal opportunity society for all. And don't forget our giftwisdoms.com for birthdays and holidays that makes it easy to share the wisdom with clothing, coffee mugs, and magnets. So do the future a favor by encouraging, educating, and entertaining with words of wisdom that have passed the test of time to make us all wiser and kinder. With wearable wisdoms to fit babies, kids, and adults, you can clothe a whole family, city, or state. Join the 52 of 8 today at 52of8.com.